As we've been going through this pandemic, we've been working close with several partners in the region. We've presented data here from our colleagues at SETRAC, the Southeast Texas Regional Advisory Council. We've been showing data from our colleagues at the Texas Medical Center, the CEO group. And about a month ago, we also work obviously very closely with the CDC. And about a month ago, the CDC announced in their partnership with Harris County Public Health the first case of the UK variant being found in the greater Houston area. And that was on a random sample. And with that individual, he had no travel history. And so there was questions of how he became infected with the UK variant. Of course, the assumption is that he became infected locally. And so since then, we've been working hard to identify more cases. And Mayor, if it's okay with you, I'd like to have Dr. Long come up and talk about the partnership we've had with Methodist Hospital, and then Dr. Minter will talk about the about the Fort Bend situation, and then I'll follow up talking about the Houston situation. Dr. Long?
Thank you, Dr. Percy. So at Houston Methodist, we really began preparing in January of 2020 to not just be able to test for COVID-19, but to be able to sequence all of our positive isolates, because we realized at that time that the importance of knowing that sequence is to know when new variants are arising in the community, variants like the UK variant, variants like the South African variant, other variants you may have heard of, we may talk about. So we really began working back at the beginning of the pandemic to sequence every positive COVID-19 test that we had passed through our hospital system across the greater Houston metropolitan area. As part of these efforts, we have been sequencing again since March. It was on this Saturday that we became aware of the fact that we had 2 isolates that were positive for the UK variant and 1 isolate that was positive for the South African variant. These isolates were found from 3 different individuals in different parts of, again, the greater Houston metropolitan area, which I think Dr. Percy and Dr. Martin will talk about after I'm done. But again, it's something we've done at Houston Methodist. We sequence now close to 20,000 COVID-19 isolates. That is more isolates that have been sequenced by Methodist here in Houston and in most states in the country. So we've been leading the effort in this, thanks to the leadership from the hospital and leadership from the department, working tirelessly to sequence these isolates since March. And that's why I'm here today, to tell you about the discovery of these 2 UK variants and the 1 South African variant that we discovered on Saturday. And I'll pass it to Dr. Martin.
Thank you so much. As Dr. Long said, we were informed on Saturday that there was a person who resided in Fort Bend County who had tested positive for COVID-19, and this was a South African variant. The individual had traveled in December within the U.S. By way of international airports. The person returned to the greater Houston area, to Fort Bend County, and after a few days after that return, they started to have symptoms and were medically evaluated. After that evaluation, they were tested for SARS-CoV-2 infection, and the tests were positive. The person recovered. At this point in the investigation, we are aware that the household members all tested and tested negative. The person was absent from work, so there were no workplace exposures. I think it's important to note that this event occurred several weeks ago, and basically what we've been doing all along will continue to protect us. As we wait for our turn with the vaccine, we continue to wear our masks, we continue to distance, and we continue to practice good hand hygiene, and that will protect us from COVID, whatever variant we come in contact with.
Thank you, Dr. Minter. Dr. Minter is the local health authority and the director of Fort Bend County Public Health. So in the city of Houston, we got the same phone call on Saturday morning from Methodist telling us that they had identified 2 cases of people who reside within the city of Houston that tested positive for the UK variant. They're both males. One is in his 50s and is currently hospitalized. The other gentleman is not hospitalized, and we know from the first gentleman that he also had travel history domestically. And with the second case, we're trying to track that down and get more information. At this point, we have not identified any spread from these particular individuals, but our cases are much more recent than the Fort Bend case, and so we're working on that.